checking in on the 2026 quarterback class for the NFL draft, the QB of the week, the stock risers and stock fallers next.
You are Locked On NFL Draft, your daily podcast covering the NFL Draft. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast, your daily podcast covering your favorite draft prospects, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your boy, Damian Parson. I'm an NFL draft analyst with Bleacher Report. And thank you, as always, for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and every day. Shout out for being our everydayers. Talking about quarterbacks, our weekly quarterback updated show. We talk about the QB of the week, those stock rising performances from week 7 and those stock falling performances from week 7. But before we get into that, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 back in bonus bets to use freely across the app. QB of the week. Initially, if you listened to yesterday's show, if you haven't yet, you should already be listening to it. I contemplated putting Clemson's quarterback Cade Klubnik as my QB of the week because he had another strong game, another strong performance. But I actually went with a different guy, and I went with Joey Aguilar. Joey Aguilar for the Tennessee Volunteers completed 64% of his passes, 221 yards passing, 1 passing touchdown. He added 59 yards rushing against Arkansas. And in this game, he made some really good throws. I'm talking about layered throws. There was one, I believe it was a skinny post. And you had the outside corners, kind of almost like a trap coverage, felt like. You're talking about layering the ball, fitting it in right above, right between the two defenders, protected his receiver, gave his receiver enough time to adjust and make the catch, but also get down and avoid the big hit from the upfield defensive back. I'm telling you right now, guys, just watching him, he's getting better to me. And this was a game where they leaned on the run game a lot, but he did exactly what he was supposed to do. Be that complementary piece for the team and for the offense. Make the timely throws, make the necessary plays. And you saw that he made the plays with his legs and with his arm. And I appreciated all of it from Joey Aguilar. And I think as he continues to develop throughout this season, right, and everything, and Tennessee's only got that one loss on the season, a game they should have won if the kicker could have made that kick against Georgia, who does not look like the Georgia that we're accustomed to. It's about to be the second straight year we've said that about the Georgia Bulldogs. They got some injuries and stuff, and they're a young team, right? So I look at Tennessee and could Tennessee be one of the CFP teams? Because SEC is going to get about 3 or 4. Could Tennessee be one of those teams? It's very possible, right? It's absolutely possible. With Chris Brazo and the run game that they have, their defensive line can still get after the quarterback. Yeah, I mean, hopefully we get Jamar McCoy to return. And I think as this season goes on and you get into more big-time SEC games, and which I believe they're facing Bama this week, so that's as big as they come, right? But we're going to talk about that, to talk about week 8 of college football. Wow, week 8, right? Talk about week 8 later on in the week when Keith joins me again. Time just scheduling for us this week. With me getting ready to move into the new house. There's a lot going on. But, when Keith gets back, we're going to talk about week 8 of college football and what it means for the 2026 NFL draft. But I think with Joey Aguilar, if you keep pushing forward, man, and let's say you don't lose another game, or maybe you lose a game, but it's a close game, and you know how the committee does with SEC teams and close losses, right? And let's say you still get in. You have the playoffs, and not just having the playoffs, you have an opportunity in front of everyone, right? You're in front of the entire college football and NFL draft world when you are in the CFP. So I think there's a lot more money that can be made, a lot more that can be earned for Joey Aguilar. But right now, I just watching him play point guard, where he didn't have to be the leading the main character. And I think that's a big thing with watching quarterbacks to me is I like watching guys and then determine, okay, like, yeah, some games we're going to need you to be him. We're going to need you to be the guy, right? And then sometimes we don't need you to be. Just be complimentary. Complement the defense. Complement the run game. Make the right decisions. Get the ball out of your hand quickly. Process information. Don't put it in harm's way. Don't turn it over. I think that's a big thing, is that it's okay to be a game manager sometimes, right? And when you have tools, I want the toolsy quarterbacks to learn how to be a game manager, because that makes you an absolute weapon, where the game managers can't become star toolsy players. They don't have the physical ability. That's why they're game managers. I look at Joey Aguilar. I think his arm is good. He's a good straight line athlete, right? He can create with his legs and get upfield, but you can also run some QB zone keepers for him in the red zone and everything. He's 6'4", 200 plus pounds. So he has the frame and the size for it. So I just think that this is a guy with his accuracy that he's showing, getting more comfortable layering the ball, and not just comfortable layering the ball. He's becoming a little bit more comfortable anticipating windows. And man, when that starts to click consistently this year, if he's able to do that, oh yeah, it puts the defense in conflict. Simply because you have a quarterback that can get the ball out early, and if you are out of position, you're beat. So just watching for his natural development, but he's my QB of the week. He earned it. Like I said, he did. Like, and this is a game they had a lead. Like, Arkansas fought back, man. They fought back, and he still was orchestrating his offense and making the necessary decisions and reads and everything. And I think with Joey Aguilar, he's still growing and developing as a prospect. Definitely looking forward to see how this season goes for them. And we'll talk about this weekend in a couple days. We'll talk about this weekend in a few days when my guy Keith is back, and we'll be able to really kind of break down what it means and who's under pressure, who's under the spotlight, all of that, guys. But coming up next, I'm talking about those stock rising performances, and I got to go to the same game, Tennessee versus Arkansas. I talk about Taylen Green and what he was able to do. Coming up next. Nobody likes paying rent, but if you must, you might as well get something for it. That's where Becht comes in. Becht is changing the game by turning your rent payments into real rewards you can actually use. When you pay rent through Becht, you earn flexible points that can be redeemed toward hundreds of hotels and airlines, a future rent payment, your next Lyft ride, and more. But Becht isn't just about rent, it's about rewarding you around your entire neighborhood. I love that with Becht, your rent finally works for you. You are going to be able to earn points every single month on something you already have to pay. So turn your rent into rewards and start earning points around your neighborhood by going to joinbecht.com/lockedonnfl. That's joinbilt.com/lockedonnfl. Make sure to use that link so they know we sent you. What do you get when you have a bald eagle standing on top of a silverback gorilla riding a T-Rex? Confidence, pure confidence. If you're looking for something beyond the usual pill, it's time to meet Rajit Go Long. Rajit Go Long isn't just another ED pill, it's a total game changer for your confidence. And speaking of your confidence, the confidence effects can last up to 36 hours. That's confidence all day, all night, and even into the next day. Are you ready to level up your confidence in the bedroom? If so, head to rugiet.com and use the promo code LOCKEDONNFL for 15% off your first order. That's rugiet.com, spelled rugiet.com. And all you have to do is use the promo code LOCKEDONNFL for 15% off your first order. Again, make sure you use our code so they know we sent you. Stock rising performances from week 7 of the college football season for the 2026 NFL draft. And we're talking about the quarterbacks. Arkansas's Taylen Green, the Yeah, the weapon. I think is the best way to put it. 6'6", 230 pounds. He's gonna glide to a 4.5 flat at the 40. He's got a big arm. He knows how to layer it. He's working in that Bobby Petrino offense that puts him under center. This young man had a good game overall, to be completely honest. He had a good game when facing Tennessee, right? And this was a game where he was not out there shouldering the load in a sense. Because if you turn on any game of film, over the last 2 years, it's literally been a Taylen Green situation for the most part, where they put a lot on Taylen to carry the offense. And I hate seeing that because it just creates a like bad habits when you are thrusted into Superman mode every single game, right? Like you can't just be Clark Kent. Like, you can I just be Clark Kent today, guys? Can someone else step up and save the day? No, Taylen Green is typically asked to do that. And against Tennessee, again, they were down double digits earlier in that game. He went 21 of 31, 67.7 percent completion percentage, 256 yards passing, 2 passing touchdowns, and on the ground he also added a rushing touchdown, 12 carries for 93 yards. One thing that you're going to get out of Taylen Green is you're going to get that dual threat capability, the ability to set the tone, keep the offense on schedule, all of those things. You're gonna get that from him truly every single game because he's that good of a dual threat quarterback. And sometimes you have to live and die with it, but you're going to live with it more than you die from it because he is such a talented player. And I think on this game, again, not going into superhero, let me save the day mode, he played within the offense. And that's what I love. I love to see, again, when I look at these big, toolsy, athletic quarterbacks, can you learn to be the boring quarterback? You want to know why a lot of people didn't have Tom Brady over Aaron Rodgers? Because Aaron Rodgers was discount double checking. He had the arm angles and the arm slots. He had the big arm. He could move and be mobile in the pocket and out of the pocket. He was fun. Tom Brady was boring, right? For those who did not view him as being better than Rodgers, I always felt he was better than Rodgers. But the main thing was, you look at it, Rodgers is more fun. Rodgers is, in basketball terms, you think about what we see from Steph, what we see from Trae Young, the younger generation seeing the arm angles and arm slots and throwing off of one foot and not being completely, like aligned, like the things he was able to do in his prime in his younger days. Yes, he was a menace to society. Aaron Rodgers was, but again, point is, he was fun, he was flashy. Tom Brady was boring, successful, and a winner. I want to see a Taylen Green develop his boring game. And I think we saw that a little bit where, yes, he was flashy enough to run the ball and make plays with his legs. 12 carries, nearly 100 yards rushing. That's the stuff that he can do week in and week out. But the point for me is just kind of watching it unfold. You're seeing him take throws and make reads and layering the football and not trying to put it in harm's way all the time. He didn't play like it was all on him to me in that game. He didn't play like, if I don't make this play or if I don't make this throw, we're done, right? And it's the same thing we say in basketball. There is no 4, 5, 6 point shot. No matter how deep you shoot the ball, remember the Damian Lillard, what was that, a 60-footer? I don't know how far back he was, but in Portland, the game winner over Paul George and OKC and Russell Westbrook in them, right? That's a 3-point shot. It was a game winner, right? But it was still a 3-point shot. And I think sometimes with Taylen, he'll look for if you're down double digits, you can't look for the 14-point touchdown because there isn't one. It's not real. So I think for him, watching him in that game, I felt like Taylen Green did a really good job being able to navigate throughout playing his game, playing within himself, operating and orchestrating the offense, and keeping his team in good positions to fight back. And ultimately, if their defense could have got a stop, which they haven't all season, if the defense could have gotten a stop, man, like it really could have it could have given Taylen Green the ball back. And then we're sitting here and Joey Aguilar and the Tennessee Vols offense probably sweating a little bit. It was like, man, Arkansas got the ball back. They've been running it well. He's been throwing it well. For a big arm guy, he does layer the football well over defenders' heads. He does it well in the red zone, which I believe he threw a touchdown like that. Might have been either his first or second touchdown inside the red zone. He did just that, right? And just layering it over, dropping defenders. He can do that. He's not just a pure big arm quarterback. So for me, I look at Taylen Green. I love what I saw from him. And I think he's definitely continuingly going to raise his stock if he continues to play this way. I think teams, when you're 6'6", 230 with his arm talent, his mobility, his athleticism, it's hard to tell a guy like that, yeah, we don't want you in the team. You should want him on the team, right? Like, so an NFL team is going to buy into the traits, buy into what they see on film, buy into that innate playmaking ability that he brings to the table. So, yeah, somebody's going to take their chance. They're going to take that opportunity and see what they can get going with it. But again, I didn't make him my QB of the week, but he did have a stock rising performance back-to-back weeks, man. And that is, Clemson's Cade Klubnik, right? 6'2", 210, coming off a game, 22 of 30, 73% completion percentage, 280 yards passing, 1 passing touchdown. He did throw an interception, but he also had 8 carries for 51 yards and a rushing touchdown. And I was watching the tape of this, just kind of watching the tape back of how, what did it look like for Cade and the team. And I would say, this was probably these past 2 weeks have been the most confident he's looked. And of course, they're coming off of the bye week last week. They played Bill Belichick and the Tar Heels, and they were able to do whatever. They were able to do what they needed to do. And get a big win, right? And for them, that was a big win, right? Just kind of resetting the palette a little bit. That was a big win for Clemson, to kind of get back on track. And it feels like, Cade is getting there. You're starting to see that confidence shine, all of that. And I think for him, he had some throws, man, where I'm like, okay, Cade, I see you, right? He had one. It was not caught. It was, to me, it was almost a drop. The former wide receiver running back, Adam Randall, ran, I believe it was like a corner route out of the backfield, deep corner, probably about 20 yards down the field. Cade Klubnik felt pressure from his left. He rolls to his right, can't really, throw from a 2-footed base. So he's on 1 foot and he just lets it roll, just fires it off. Rainbow throw. And it dropped right through Adam Randall's hands. And I was like, AR, you got to catch that, Randall. You got to catch that, big dog. You got to catch that. But that was a wild throw. That was a great throw. Under pressure, under duress, and still putting it where only his guy can make a play on it. Anticipating. You start to see that anticipation start to show up again. Antonio Williams being back helps this offense a lot. You see the screen stuff, the manufactured touches and different things like that. You see those plays where he's able to, where you put him in that position, and then he's able to go out there and do what he needs to do. So having Antonio Williams back is a big help because he's the one guy that they can trust to make those run after catch, yards after catch type of plays in the quick game, right? The manufactured touch, the screens, the bubble concepts, the pre-snap jet pop pass, the spot concepts, the curl routes and hitch routes and things of that nature. You got one guy for sure that can make those plays, and that's Antonio Williams, and that's his number 1 wide receiver that from last year, and everything. So I think Cade Klubnik, this is for his draft stock. This is big because being able to. Well, my phrase. If you know me, you know my phrase. Just it's all about stacking days. And if you're able to stack performances and play well and perform well, that says a lot and it goes far. So definitely a big time situation for them. And we'll see what happens with Cade, man. Maybe Cade ends up, they turn the season around. Maybe they get to a really good bowl game. He shines there, and then maybe we see him in Mobile or Shrine Bowl, and he's playing and practicing, not just there to, talk to teams or whatever the case may be. But yeah, man, I think that's something to keep our eyes on with Cade Klubnik. I feel like he is ascending, and that's a good thing for the Clemson Tiger football team. But coming up next, guys, I want to talk about these stock followers. I got two quarterbacks that did not help themselves much in week 7 of college football for the 2026 NFL draft. Coming up next. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. The NFL season is in full swing, and FanDuel has an offer you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 back in bonus bets if you win. That's right. You heard me correct. Pick a bet. Put down $5, just $5. That's all. And if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use freely across the app. I mean, to use it on player props, building your same game parlays, and even jumping into the live game action as it unfolds. So you don't want to miss out on a deal like this. My question to you is simple. What are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. Visit FanDuel.com right now to download the FanDuel app today and get started. Thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and every day. Shout out for being our everydayers. Stock falling quarterback performances from week 7. And I got to go to my guy. Guys, I love him. John Mateer, quarterback from Oklahoma. And in a Red River rivalry game that, to me, the way your defense plays, you should have trusted. Brent Venables should have trusted the defense, trusted that just stellar defense they had, and the fact that Arch Manning has not played good football for the most of this season, and just make him struggle, force him to struggle in that game, make some throws under duress, things of that nature. The O-line hasn't been great for Texas either. Nonetheless, the point is, to me, John Mateer hurt himself by playing this game. He might have hurt himself physically. I think at one point his hand was bleeding with the stitches or whatnot, and everything from the procedure. But it's not just the physical for me. Like, the physical aspect of it that's not what I mean. The problem for me was the fact that he just it was the physical. Now, I'm not talking about potentially re-injuring himself. He didn't look comfortable throwing the ball. And then when he's dealing with pressure and things of that nature, it just did not feel like he was comfortable. He was 20 of 38, 52.6% completion percentage, 202 yards. Yards per attempt was 5.3, 0 passing touchdowns, 3 interceptions. So Texas was able to stay in this game for as long as they were able to do, because of the fact that John Mateer and the passing offense couldn't get going, and he ended up turning the ball over. So, not saying that his stock is completely plummeted, but to me, it would have helped him to stand pat, heal a little bit longer, right? Because here's the thing. You give yourself a built-in excuse, right, with the committee, if you're talking about CFP implications and things like that. Because if they say John Mateer is not cleared yet, and you start your backup, let's say you lose a close game. Well, they might give it to you. Like, that's just how we know that's how they operate. We know that's how they operate. They say, we know what? In that matchup, it was close. Texas barely won. They won by the skin of their teeth. But OU did not have John Mateer, and we know what type of difference maker he is. Instead, now you had the same touchdown to interception ratio per PFF, 6 passing touchdowns, 6 interception. You threw 3 in this game. That is just not going to cut it, and that's just very, very difficult and tough for me to see. So I think for me, starting with John Mateer, you shouldn't have rushed it. Should not have rushed himself back. Should have waited at least another week or two and really allow yourself to heal where you feel comfortable, because it's always it's like training camp in the NFL, man. You see guys running routes on air, or there's no hitting and no pads and stuff like that, and guys are playing well. It's like, well, let's see who does what when the bullets are live and we have a full padded scrimmage and practice. And some guys don't translate the shirts and shorts, accolades in training camp and fall camp. They don't translate that against into real live reps. So I think that's the thing for me, is just the fact of, like, you think you're okay until the bullets are flying. Guys are trying to hit you as hard as possible, sack you, bring you down, put pressure on you. And again, I felt like his interceptions came via pressure. And so for me, John Mateer absolutely was a stock follow this week. Got to get healthy, man. Got to get healthy before you really try to play these tough, physical, grinded out type of games. But another player, another quarterback, Rocco Becht out of Iowa State. Rocco Becht did not have a good game against Colorado. He was 18 of 33. 54.5% completion percentage, 205 yards passing, 6 yards per attempt, 0 touchdowns, 1 interception. And I think for him as a senior quarterback, and against a Colorado team that most people will not say, well, they have a stellar defense, and we have to worry about that. You want to see Rocco Becht not turn the ball over. You want to see him handle that moment a little bit better. He was outplayed by Caden Salter, the quarterback from Colorado, and everything. Rocco Becht is going to be a good backup quarterback with a potential to start in the league. But yeah, I think he hurt the stock right now. I think this is a guy that probably hears his name, depending on who declares, right? Maybe he gets bumped up around. We don't know. But 9 times out of 10, he's probably not going to hear his name until the fourth, I would say fifth round for sure of the 2020, what's going to be 2026 NFL draft class. I think, for Rocco, he's an accurate quarterback. He's a coach's son. All the cliches are there, but you got to be able to translate that stuff and make the plays consistently that we want to see, and that your team needs you to make. I think he's a good quarterback, especially at the college level. I think he's going to be a solid backup in the league for probably quite some time. I think he eventually may phase out of the league and say, let me become the next great offensive coordinator, because I feel like a lot of the great ones are former quarterbacks. So it could be Rocco Becht, but I do think he can start in the league. I think he fits the West Coast offense, and it's all going to be about when and where teams will draft him and how they value that situation. But guys, that's the show. Stock fallers, stock risers, and QB of the week for the 2026 NFL draft, coming off of week 7 of college football. Go subscribe and follow for free on YouTube, wherever you listen to podcasts, to get the latest episode as soon as it is available. As always, thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today, and every day shot for being our everydayers. On tomorrow's show, guys, we got 3 prospects. We're going to watch the tape and talk about the notes. All of that on tomorrow's show. So come and join the conversation again tomorrow on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.